think you have a form builder problem, but you actually have a business growth problem. And until you understand the difference, no form software is going to help you. A few weeks ago, a client asked me a very simple question. Buck, why would I pay for GetFormly when Google Forms is free? And that's a very honest and valid question. You see, a few years ago, I would have asked the exact same thing. Because on the surface, this looks like we're comparing two softwares. One tool is completely free, and one tool costs money. End of story. Except that's not the real question. The real question is, at what point does a business outgrow Google Forms? Because here's what I've noticed. The businesses using Google Forms successfully are usually trying to collect information. The business looking at GetFormly are usually trying to generate leads, qualify prospects, automate follow-up. They want to segment their audiences and they want to build customer journeys. And those are two completely different goals. And that's where most business owners get stuck that I see. See, they're comparing features when they should really kind of be evaluating systems. I'm Buck, and this is the Profit Manual. I help service business owners who feel stuck in the weeds build systems that grow the business without everything depending on them. And this is one of the biggest problems that I see. See, business owners trying to solve a systems problem with a software comparison. Now, full transparency here, if after watching this video, you decide GetFormly is the right fit for your business, I do have an affiliate link in the description below. It doesn't cost you anything extra and helps support the channel. That said, there are plenty of situations where I'd still recommend Google Forms. And in fact, for some businesses, paying for GetFormly would be a complete waste of money. So in this video, we're going to answer three main questions. When should you stick with Google Forms? When has your business officially outgrown it? And what does that transition look like as you move from collecting information to actually building automated customer journeys? Because once you understand that difference, choosing between these two platforms becomes surprisingly easy. But first, let me tell you about a contractor that accidentally taught me one of the most important lessons about customer trust. A while back, I visited an open house with my wife, and the builder was selling homes worth hundreds of thousands of dollars and a little bit more. And at the end of the tour, they were asking visitors to fill out a lead form. It makes sense. Totally reasonable. But the questions kept coming and coming. There were probably like 15 something questions, and some felt kind of oddly personal, and the design looked generic. The experience, it felt very clunky. It wasn't smooth. And standing there, I remember thinking, if this is how they handle a simple lead generation form, how are they handling a 6-7 figure construction project? Now, I'm going to say, was that completely fair on me? Probably not. But customers make buying decisions based on perception every single day. And that's when I realized something super important. Professionalism isn't about looking fancy. Professionalism is about reducing doubt. And most startups should stay lean. Most startups should use free tools. And I firmly believe that. But eventually there comes a point where looking lean starts to look cheap. And that's often the first sign a business has outgrown Google Forms. Now, if you're a service business owner trying to build systems that generate leads, improve operations, and help your business grow without everything depending on you, I want to make sure that you're subscribed. That's exactly what we're going to talk about here each and every week. And I want you to stick around because I'm going to show you when Google Forms is actually the better choice and when GetFormly becomes worth paying for. The feature that completely changed my opinion, the biggest weakness I still see in GetFormly, and then the framework I use to determine whether a business has outgrown free software. Here's the framework. Businesses evolve through 6 stages. Stage 1, we're collecting information. Stage 2, we're going to capture the leads. Stage 3, we're going to segment our audiences. Stage 4, we're going to qualify those leads. We have stage 5, we want to automate that follow-up. And then stage 6 is we want to build personalized customer journeys. See, Google Forms just dominates stage 1. And GetFormly is going to start becoming valuable more through stages 2 through 6. And that's really what this entire comparison comes down to. Collecting information, and this is where Google Forms shines. Years ago, I worked with a multi-million-dollar technology company, and they use Google Forms everywhere. They had it from internal requests, registrations, they had surveys, they did massive data collection, and honestly, it worked great. Nobody even cared. Nobody complained. Because the form wasn't part of the customer experience. The goal was simply collecting information. And for that, Google Forms is one of the best free business tools ever created. If you're using Forms for like an internal process, event registration, a survey, basic intake forms within your team and data collection, stop watching software reviews and just use Google Forms. You're going to save yourself some money, and seriously, it's simple and easy to use. But this is where most businesses I see actually hit a wall, because eventually forms stop being used as internal tools, and instead they become part of the sales process, and that's where things start to change. The professionalism gap. See, this is actually why I switched, and it wasn't because I needed more features. It wasn't because Google Forms stopped working. It was because I no longer wanted to look like a C- advisor. See, let me explain. When I first started, I was perfectly happy using free tools, and honestly, I still am. And if I'm building an internal process for myself, yeah, Google Forms all day. No problem. But eventually I realized something. My clients weren't judging me based on what happened behind the scenes. They were judging me based on what they saw. And every touch point matters. Your website, your forms, your emails, your branding, all of it communicates something. I mean, think about Coca-Cola. You know the red, you know the logo, you know the polar bears. Think about Nike. 3 words. Just do it. And these best brands, they create consistency to their customer. And consistency is what creates that trust. And my wife is incredible at this. She understands branding better than most people. Colors, messaging, design, how it makes the customer actually feel. That customer perception, all of it works together. And watching her build that consistency made me realize I was not doing the same thing. And so I started asking myself, if I want clients to see me as a peer, if I want them to see me as a professional, if I want them to actually trust my experience with them, why am I sending them through generic forms that look like nothing at all of my business? And that was the moment my thinking changed. Because professionalism isn't about being fancy, it's about removing doubt. And that's usually the first sign a business has outgrown using Google Forms. Now let's look at CRM integrations and MailerLite. And this is where my opinion really started changing. See, I connected GetFormly directly to MailerLite for email. And suddenly I wasn't collecting emails anymore. I was building a system. You see, someone fills out a form, they're tagged automatically, they're added to the right audience, they're placed into the right automation, and they're sent the right follow-up sequence without me having to touch any of it. And this is where forms just stop being forms and they start becoming infrastructure. And what happens next is where that real value actually shows up. It's audience segmentation. And this is where things got really interesting personally for me. See, I built a lead magnet for insurance agencies. And my goal was very simple. I want to help agencies get more clients without relying entirely on their referrals. At first, I thought everyone needed the same solution, but they didn't. See, some agencies had 0 online presence. There was no Google business profile. There was no marketing systems, no idea what their website was communicating, no social media presence, and other agencies had spent years working with different marketing agencies. See, they had traffic. They had systems. They had completely different problems. And that's when I kind of realized that sending both groups through the same experience made absolutely no sense. And because they weren't at the same stage. And GetFormly allowed me to identify where they were, then automatically segment them, and then send them down completely different paths, different resources, different recommendations, and different next steps. That's when forms stopped collecting information and they started becoming a marketing system. And this is a stage where businesses evolve from just collecting information to building an automated customer journey. It fits the customer experience, which then allows us to look at a section that GetFormly has called conditional logic. And this is one of the biggest signs you're going to outgrow free forms. It's because not everyone should answer the same questions. See, if someone says they've never worked on their online presence, then why would I be asking them advanced marketing questions? If someone is already spending money on marketing, why am I asking them beginner type questions? And conditional logic allows the form to adapt to the right questions for that particular customer, for that right person. And that's a much better experience for the prospect. It bypasses the beginner or the advanced items, and it gives me so much more data, just like it would for you. See, that's called lead qualification. And most businesses waste time treating every single lead the same, but the best businesses don't do that. And one thing I liked about GetFormly is the ability to identify where someone is in their journey, what they know, what they don't know. I mean, think about Alex Hormozy's scaling roadmap. He doesn't talk to every business owner the same way. Someone doing 100,000 per year has a very different problem than someone doing 1 million and 5 million. And someone doing 1 million has very different problems than someone doing 15 million. See, there's different stages and there's different challenges at each stage. And that allows us for different solutions depending on where the customer is at. And that's exactly what lead qualification allows you to do. So instead of guessing where someone is, you actually know where they are. And once you know, you can provide better recommendations, better offers, and better follow-up. That's why questions are so important to figuring out where your audience truly is. And then that allows you to have a personalized customer journey for that individual. And this was a feature that completely sold me. See, the landing page routing. Let's say there were 3 people complete the same assessment. Person 1 struggles with disability, person 2 struggled with lead generation, and person 3 struggled with operations and consistency. Should all 3 see the exact same next step? Probably not. They have different issues. And with GetFormly, I can send them to different landing pages to allow for different offers that had different resources directly related to their problem. And all in all, that allowed for a different customer journey for each person. And this is where forms become more than forms, and they become a marketing engine. And that is where businesses stop collecting information and they start to build an automation that grows without them. But I do want to point out something that I don't like, because no software is perfect. And there are definitely things I'd still like to see improvement on. You see, one thing, I'd like more flexibility with styling with GetFormly, better font controls, more layout options, and less dependency on hex codes. And none of those things are deal breakers, but they're real and they're kind of a pain. And I do think the platform can improve in those specific areas. So, which one should you actually choose for your business? If you're just collecting information, use Google Forms. Seriously, save your money. It's one of the best free business tools ever created, and I still use it today. And I'm probably always going to. But if you're trying to actually generate leads, you want to segment your audiences. You want to qualify your prospects. You want to automate your follow-ups. And you want to elevate and personalize that customer journey to create a stronger brand experience. Then you've probably outgrown Google Forms. Because at that point, you're not solving a form problem, you're solving a growth problem. And that's where I'd recommend GetFormly. And if that's a stage where a business is entering, I'll put my affiliate link below so you can check it out. Because the simplest way I can explain it is this. Google Forms is a bucket and GetFormly is a pipeline. You see, the bucket collects the information and a pipeline moves people somewhere. So you're either gathering data or you're actually going to act on that data. And when your business reaches a point where every lead needs a journey and not just a form, that's how you know you've actually outgrown free. If you found this video helpful, I want you to go ahead and click right here and watch this next video to help you build your service business and grow your revenue. I'll see you in there.